these regions fluctuate in what they do, but they're legends for what they created. So the beautiful Colombian varieties that he had gathered up next to Venezuela by Vaishada, and the Mexican varieties that he gathered all through Nayarit, which is outside of Puerto Vallarta. These places were historical producers that produced incredible quality, and to see that seed work, but refined and improved from selective breeding over, decades, in a place where the 18-degree latitude really lets that plant shine, because it's meant to be in that type of climate, humidity, light index, all those things, was just like a once-in-a-lifetime deal, really, because you never get to see it at that latitude.
Yeah.
That's the point, is that it's so rare to see these things. And then typically you want to go see 10 different things. You'd have to go to 10 different countries. But in this case, I got to see them all in one spot.
And those probably wouldn't do well outside of that area?
No, you
can specific, or can you move them around a little?
It's specific pretty much. Some things you probably can't do. Panama. Panama's like a 14-weeker. But you could do it indoor.
Yeah.
So you could do it indoor, you could do it in a mixed light, but if we wanted to run it full term, once it became winter here, it just would be too cold and then not enough light from the rain. But some of the stuff indoor only because of it, or at the correct latitude. And then some of it was reasonable. So some of the work that caught me the most was the sour diesel into the Cambodian. So we took a Cambodian male, that C3 male, and went into a really nice sour he picked up on the East Coast, a couple of decades ago, and some of that was phenomenal because it would be like right around Halloween, harvest here for us, but super resistant. All the work had been done tropically, so we'd been able to steer towards resistance, so you weren't worrying about rot. And what you got was these sour profiles merged with these Cambodian profiles, and that stuff was just off the chain. The Acapulco Gold stuff was reasonable. That Zetacus purple, it can handle it too. So same thing, Halloween, 1st of November-ish, almost like Blue Dream.
Yeah.
Blue Dream in Humboldt County is really like second week in November, So it depends on the season, but the profiles were so unique. You got to go explore directions that you just don't see anymore. And for me, it was like going all the way back. Like, I've been to these places and experienced it, in hand, but never in this manner, where it was like I was going through decades of experience, but at one location, because it was like, here's all these ties we worked on, and you're like, wow, this was the old tie lines. And then it's like, here's the Cambodians, and here's the Laos, and you could pick up all the nuances and the profiles and the type of high. The work that he had done from Zamal was incredible. So Zamal is out in Indian Ocean, and it has these exceptionally long flowering plants, but like super lucidity. And he had done a bunch of Zamal work, so we got to mess around with the Zamal.
When you say super lucidity, you mean it's just a
ultra clear, clear high. You're ultra creative. You just feel energized. You have no appetite. You feel really good in hot climate. So like when you burn in heavy cushion, it's hot outside, you can feel it.
Right.
But when you burn in Colombian in the heat, you don't seem to get impacted the same way.
Yeah.
And so the profile, and it's not just the scent profile, it's also the cannabinoid profile, and how these things acclimated, and then people chose them, and they chose them for what they wanted. And if you're working in Colombia as a native and you're at 9,000 feet, you don't need sedation, you need energy.
Right.
So you got to take a really good look, and the person who was doing the steering was steering it for qualities and survivability. So what you had was really a premium breeding operation, and all in all, the experience was just phenomenal. Like it was really, really an education on the nuances of all these regions from someone who had gathered the stock from all those regions.
Do you just make a solo run on these trips?
This one was, most of the stuff I do is solo, but it's because the people that are bringing me out, they're having me come out to like look at a problem, to look at try to come up with solutions. So most of the stuff I do is that, and then I get to experience and check out the operations. I meet all the locals. I try to get the locals to take me into the into town, so I can always see what's happening in the street. What are you burning in the street? What are you guys growing in the street? What's that real identity?
It's like
So it lets me see
parts unknown Jodrey version.
Yeah, it lets me see the pieces, but I've never typically do it as like documentary work.
Yeah.
But this one I wanted to capture, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to get it so that it wasn't about any of us as much as it was about the varieties. And so we went through each line and then had Charles explain the line, how he acquired it, what the nuances were, what was he trying to do, what were the results.
Yeah.
So that what we have is this database for people who are consumers that don't have access to all these things but have heard of it. And if you're older like me, you consumed it but you just don't see it anymore. And that way you can kind of go down that memory lane and then realize that it's still present, that you can still find it, and that it allows there to be this massive width of a plant shown, because all we show is trendy, high THC, trendy. And the truth is that there's this entire world of cannabis that was not for the COA world. It wasn't for the assessment. It was for the consumption. And it's been kind of pushed to the side because numerically it might not ring the bell. It might not hit 27%.
Yeah.
But when you consume it, you are absolutely electrified. You know, just the quality of the high was epic. And I think that's what really the public needs to see. And for me, you know, I think I've been covered so much that I don't think I need to be covered anymore. I wanted the plant to be covered, and I wanted the La Marina boys to be covered, because to me they're just fascinating because of the historical context of who they are and what they did in New York.
Where can we see that?
It's on my phone. It's I'm having a buddy edit it for me right now.
Oh, okay,
We're
cool.
doing all the editing. Yeah, so I captured it all. I transferred it to my computer, and now we just have to go through and start to edit it. And I have 3 different like tracks, so to speak, where one is the farm and the plants, the other one is Charles and the family, and then it's the history of the La Marina boys.
Okay.
Where I went through and had them break down the history of New York haze and the whole haze culture from Washington Heights, because I'm totally unfamiliar with that. I left New England in '84, so to me, you know, even though like I'm definitely a New Englander, I spent majority of my life outside in New England.
Yeah.
So I could tell you what happened here in Humboldt way more than I can tell you what was happening on the East Coast. And so I wanted to be able to capture that story too, so that the public kind of gets to see the identities of all these regions and how the whole country, the whole world combined creates cannabis culture. No one has a chokehold on it at all. And to showcase all these things that were once prevalent and then hidden and now coming back into vogue.